Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Hope all is well. We all have within us, in our conscious experience, we experience the 10 sefirot, the 10 faculties. These 10 faculties are the way in which Hashem reveals Himself and creates the world through these 10 sefirot. And in Hashem's name, Yud Ke Vav Ke, that alludes to the four worlds and the infinite light above it. As you know, in the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, each letter, the Yud represents the world of Atzilus, then the He represents the world of Bria, the next Vav represents Yitzira, and the next He represents the world of Asiya. And the top of the Yud represents the Ein Sof, the Keter of Atzilus, and the Ein Sof that dwells within it. So these are beautiful, but what does this mean? How does this relate to us? This relates to us in the sense that within us, we have all of these faculties. And the highest of all the faculties is the faculty of Keter, which means crown. Keter also, Chassidus and in the Arizal's teachings, we realize, they teach us, they help us recognize that what is Keter, what is this faculty of Ratzon, of the crown? What's this faculty? It's very fancy, beautiful terms, but what does this mean? The faculty of Keter is will, desire and will. Why is this the crown? Why is this above the head? We've explained this in previous videos, but it's always worth reiterating, that when someone desires something, when someone has the will for something, it is above logic. When somebody loves someone, when somebody loves their child, a parent loves their child, they don't have to logically understand why they love their child. It's such a powerful reality to them that it's so far beyond logic and it's so one with them. That is the faculty of will. Another example is when a person wants to do the right thing, even though it may logically not make sense, he's going to do it anyways because he has a desire, and the will transcends all other faculties. The Rebbe Rashab takes it much deeper, and all the Rebbeim, and this is from also rooted back to the Arizal, and they take it a step further to say, what's the innermost part of will? Because as you know, there's always within every faculty, there's the inner part, and there's the outer part of it. And you can always go deeper into a specific idea. So what's the innermost part of will, of Keter? The innermost part of will is pleasure. It's called Tanug, delight. So what does this mean? This means that really, why does a person actually come to desire something? Because they have a delight in that something. And because they have a delight in that something, that causes them a desire for it, a wanting for it. So we see that the highest faculty is actually the faculty of pleasure, of ta'anug. In Hebrew we say ta'anug, that's the direct term. Of course you could say in English pleasure, delight, but it doesn't hit the spot obviously like the way when you say ta'anug, an oineg, something that's just pleasurable and delightful, to say the least. So beautiful, how does this relate to us? This relates to us because we're taught that how we experience it, what is Hashem's greatest desire? Hashem's greatest desire is us serving Him. That is His innermost pleasure. Hashem had the desire to create the world. It's above logic. We can't understand why Hashem wanted to create us and have us serve Him, but we know that nonetheless that's the case. We can't understand why, but we can appreciate that that is so. That Hashem's greatest pleasure is actually in us. That we can serve Him and we can be involved and unify with Him. So the Rebbe Rashab says something very interesting. He says, how we experience it now, before Moshiach comes, we experience it that Hashem wants me to do something. And I feel like there's this will, Hashem's will is for me to do this, and I can't understand why I have to do it, but I can appreciate that He wants me to do it, so I have to do it. Of course, there's many different types of commandments. Some commandments we can intellectually appreciate, like don't steal, don't murder, we can understand why those make sense. But then there's other mitzvahs like kosher and shatnez, and like mixing two types of materials together that we're not allowed to do, and that is above logic, but nonetheless we follow it because it's a commandment from Hashem and we're told to do it, and we do it even though we don't understand it. And that represents a higher level of service of Hashem, because if we only serve Hashem when it makes sense to us, then we're serving ourselves. But when we serve Hashem because that's what He wants us to do, even when we don't intellectually understand it, that's true service of the Creator. So right now we experience that Hashem wants us to do something, but the Rebbe Rashab explains something very interesting. He explains that when Moshiach comes, we're going to experience that this is actually Hashem's innermost pleasure. Now, when I do a mitzvah, when I give charity, when I help somebody out, I say, wow, this is what Hashem wants me to do, and I'm doing it. But in the times of Moshiach, I will experience, wow, this is Hashem's greatest pleasure, and I'm causing Hashem His greatest pleasure. What an honor that I get to be able to cause Hashem pleasure. What an honor that I'm involved in giving Hashem pleasure. And that, in turn, will be our greatest pleasure. So really, our greatest pleasure is to serve Hashem. And Hashem's greatest pleasure is for us to serve Him. Why? why do we both have this same pleasure? Because we're made in the image of Hashem. And really, all our soul wants is to cause Hashem pleasure. So that's our greatest pleasure. And Hashem's greatest pleasure is us having pleasure. So it's like a mirror embrace. It's like a loving unification in marriage with Hashem. So to take this a step further, we can also appreciate that within our conscious experience, we have desire, we have will. We also have intellect, and we have emotions. We have to understand that all the sefirot come out of the sefira of Keter, of Ratzon. And within the sefira of Keter, there's all the sefira within it. Because we have, the sefiras are integrated within each other. There's Chesed within Gevura, there's Chochmah within Das, and Bina within Chochmah. All the sefirot are intertwined within each other, and that's what allows reality to exist in such an interactive way, in such an enlivening way. That life is so interactive and so... It's a unit. Life is a unit. It's not just, a person's not just experiencing sefirot and different faculties, but all these faculties, all these parts of reality come together and create a unification within reality. So too we can appreciate that all the sefirot come from Keter. My emotions, my thoughts, my action, they all come from my desire, my will to serve. So sometimes when a person's too caught up with his emotions or with his intellect, he could fall to a low place, to dark places, God forbid. Why? Because the emotions are limited. The emotions are more unrefined. When a person lets his emotions loose and he doesn't take hold of his emotions, he doesn't try to use himself, his higher levels of his faculties to direct his emotions, but he lets his emotions run free, it's a recipe for disaster, because emotions are not meant to be roaming free. They're meant to be used and channeled by our higher faculties and used for the good, because emotions are like a weapon. Emotions can improve a person's life and bring life to a person's life, to somebody's life. Or if a person lets his emotions reign loose and lets his emotions control him and define him, he could fall to dark, very, very scary dark places, God forbid. So we have to recognize that. The Rebbe Rashab gives us a beautiful technique. He explains to us that there's a lower level of controlling our emotions. That's with our intellect. By meditating upon Hashem, we could actually take hold of our emotions and direct them the same way a driver takes hold of a car and drives it and directs the car. So too, using meditation and thinking about Hashem, we could control our emotions to develop a love and an awe of Hashem. And then even deeper, by tapping into the deeper levels of Chokhmah, of our intellect, that we don't even have to think so much, but already just by thinking such a deep idea, we don't even have to, automatically, as a result of that, our emotions get excited. Beautiful. So this is all done through learning, of course, deep Chassidus and Torah. This allows the Torah goes into our body, so to speak, and it takes hold of our animal soul, our emotions, and we're able to use our emotions for the good. Because the animal soul, the emotions on their own, they could be negative, but when used for the good, they can take even our soul to higher places than it ever was before, because the body gets excited, and that's what it adds to the soul. The body gets very enthusiastic. The Rebbe Shab takes it a step further. He says, yes, you can use meditation and intellect to control your emotions, but you can take it a step deeper. You desire. When you desire and you want to connect to Hashem, then automatically your emotions and your action and your thoughts as well, will all be interested in connecting to Hashem, because they all come from will. That's why when there's an expression, when somebody wants something hard enough, nothing can get in the way. So too, that's all from Chassidus, that when a person wants something, so too his emotions will be activated. Why? Because the faculty of will, every other faculty, whether it's thought, speech, action, emotions, they all come from desire, from the will. They're literally coming forth, they're given birth to by our desire. That's how the sphere of Keter works, is it gives birth to everything below it. So if we have the desire to love Hashem, that will actually activate a love for Hashem within our hearts. And we want to think about deep concepts, because it's all coming from the will, we'll be able to do it. And the Rebbe Rashab also explains that the faculty of Keter, since it connects Hashem to us, it connects the infinite and the finite, it's the intermediary, so too the Keter, the sphere of desire, has an infinite aspect to it. So too it can take control of emotions. It has no limitations, the desire. That's why when someone wants something enough, nothing can stand in the way. That's why, so when we want to love Hashem, when we want to fear Hashem, as an automatic consequence of that, we'll be able to activate a love and fear of Hashem just by way of wanting it. So how do we do this? We have to remind ourselves that we want to serve Hashem. We have to remind ourselves that this is really Hashem's greatest pleasure. And since I'm made in the image of Hashem, it's my greatest pleasure to serve Hashem. And when we allow ourselves to accept that reality, we'll be living in the reality of the days of Moshiach. May it be today. May all those who have lost one be comforted. May all those who are sick be healed. May we all be redeemed and be healed and return to Hashem in a revealed good way. May today be the day. God bless you all.